Hi, I'm Sarah.
I'm David. Let's talk about the amazing race 33. We are on leg 8.
We are.
Good
Why did
stuff.
they say next week was leg 9 like 14 times in this episode?
I know that's why I'm like, because I was like, oh God, what episode is it? Because I always forget to write that down, but I remembered them saying leg 9 is next so many times. So I was like, oh, let's go with leg 8 at the top here.
Let's go with it because it's right. But first, before we get into it, if you're new to this channel, please click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up.
And you can support us on Patreon if you like it, patreon.com/nerdtainment. We would appreciate that if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Join us over there.
Thank you so much. Hi, guys.
Hi, everyone. Joining us live in the chat. Hi. Sarah was right before we went live. Sarah was like, the chat is lit already.
You guys are. You are here, ready to talk. And it was, I'm sad. I'm sad about this leg.
I know, but
Hard leg.
I enjoyed a little bit more of the like team swapping position, in the middle of a leg. There were a couple challenges that were like tripping people up, taking a little extra time. I mean, the Holdernesses are just like worlds ahead of anybody else at this point, but it's kind of exciting because for a long time it was the dudes who were like, trouncing everyone. So a little bit more exciting.
Those Holderness are going to make it really hard for those dudes to overtake. They still didn't end where they wanted to end in this leg, but they are working their way back up. That's for sure.
Yes.
Well, we're going to start by flying to Greece.
Yeah.
We didn't get to see the private plane, I don't think, this time.
I was going to say they're just in Greece. That's...
Yeah, they're like, they're going to fly there and then boom, they're there.
They're doing their best this season with like COVID, all of this stuff. But it is like, I'm missing those like classic Amazing Race pieces of like actually seeing them on the flight, struggling at the airport with the taxis. But it is what it is. They're just in Greece this time, ripping open their clues. And it's the Holdernesses and the flight attendants who are in that first departure time.
Yes, we weren't sure how this departure was going to work, but it's still in groups.
Yeah.
Turns out it's going to be 3 groups. So flight attendants and Holderness 1 and 2 are going to head out first. Self-driving in stick shifts.
Stick shift, manual transmission, y'all.
And they're on the correct side of the car. So no complaints. And we didn't see any massive issues. They all... prepared during the pandemic.
They set us up right at the top here with the flight attendants where they're like, we want to win a leg, like we want to prove that we're just as good as these other teams. And that's a little bit of foreshadowing of some struggles that they're going to have over the course of this leg. I mean, it ends up fine for them in the end, but they're one of those teams that's like ping-ponging back and forth as we go,
Right. So then group 2 is going to be the dudes and the twins.
Yeah.
Are going to head out second.
Yep. And then, of course, Arun and Natalia are last by themselves. Those are our 5 teams. The first, challenge clue that they have to find is in an olive grove, right? And so we see the teams are just sort of like sticking in their pairs. And of course, Arun and Natalia are all the way in the back, but they're running around this, olive grove looking for the clue, and it's up in the trees, right? Penn sees it and just like does a basketball move and snatches it right out of the tree. Like he's very tall, so he's capable. But then the flight attendants are like climbing on top of each other, trying to figure out who's going to go on whose shoulders. The editors like give us a nice shot of a ladder sitting right over off to the side. But
they missed that ladder thing, but honestly, that's more fun for us because this was hilarious, them climbing on top of each other to get it. Then the second group, when they arrived to the olive grove, the twins see the ladder like immediately and just help themselves on up the tree.
And they're there with the dudes, right? And they all get there together, and it's very much like, okay, if you see it, let us know, let's work together. And the twins are like, there it is. And they like get themselves situated with a ladder and pull the clue down. And then they're like, we found it. It's up in the tree.
It's up in a tree. Look for a ladder. Bye.
Yeah.
I like to see it. I call that growth.
Yep.
Good on you, ladies, for that. So our first roadblock here is going to be who likes to rap?
who likes to rap, but it's spelled W-R-A-P. So
Yes.
people are figuring out like this has something to do with food. And it's those
grape leaves.
Dolmates, is that how you
Yes,
say
they
it? Yes.
called them dolmates, but we call
Yes.
them grape leaves.
Uh-huh.
They're very Greek, so it makes
Very Greek.
sense. Here we
Yep.
are. Watch the demonstration.
Yep.
Fold it up, make a whole platter full of them. And our first group is there together. Kim and Raquel are going to do this.
Yes. And Raquel is one that is missing one of the crucial details here. You know, it's a lot of the people notice that the veins of the leaves are going a certain way. You know, not everybody's noticing that right off the top. I think Kim kind of has a check before she kind of like takes a look and realizes like, oh, right, it's the leaves, or it's the veins rather. But Raquel just keeps kind of missing that detail. I did love like Dusty, you know, again, the dudes and the twins show up to this roadblock at the same time as well. Nobody has left yet. Kim is still working on it. Raquel's still working on it. I loved Dusty's comment of like, I'll use my Colorado joint rolling skills as part of this Dolmate challenge.
David, I totally did not know what this was. He just said Colorado, my Colorado skills, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, what? Do I need to Google what is in Colorado? I'm like, Colorado, but I'm taking notes. I've got other things to worry about. It wasn't until I saw Justin, Green Team, tweet out that what it was really about. And I was like, okay.
Yes. Yes, weed famously legal there in Colorado.
That is, I got that. Yes. I do know that. But you know what? Now that we know that about him, I think he's missing it on this race.
I was gonna say it might cool him down a little bit.
It chills him out.
Take him down a notch, as they say on your favorite show, Sarah.
Yeah, I feel like he's missing that now that I understand that about him. So yeah, Kim checks before she goes in though, and so she is redoing a stack, but she hasn't gotten to get checked yet. We also see Arun arrive. He's going to do this. But Raquel's going to go get hers checked first, and the lady's just pulling out like half of them. She's
half of them. And just, she's trashing them, right? When she pulls off the plate, she like smashes it onto the other plate. They're just completely undone. Raquel's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll start over on all of those. But then like, as people continue to check and, you know, miss it, you realize that like, it's not just the rolling technique, it's the presentation. You know, they have to be in these 3 rows of 20, not any other way. Like Mariana is very specific about how her dolmates are presented.
Is. And she was not a fan of, I don't think anyone's dolmates here.
She was, for everyone, she was like, it's good enough, you know?
She's like, okay, I guess. Kim's like, pretty good, huh? She's like, I mean, I wouldn't go that far.
It's a C-, but that'll do. Yeah.
All right. So Kim is going to have to represent it and come back, but that doesn't seem to take her too long with that. So Kim's going to get out first, and then a very intense Dusty, who's missing his medicine, is going to finish and let the entire town in Greece know that he's done.
So the entire country knows that he finished this challenge. And like, I love the like picture they did of the 3, you know, women who are waiting for their partner to finish the challenge. And you can just hear like the whole way from him, like Mariana's like, please stop, like to stop screaming at me.
Just go.
And he runs out, and the whole way to the car, he's just screaming and whooping it up. And it's like, I understand you want to do some of this for the camera. The producers like want this kind of a thing, and you're excited, but it's just over the top. And the women are like, okay, that was a lot. I just need to recenter myself.
Whichever twin that was like, let's sage the holding area and get rid of that energy. I totally get it. You're like, yes, got it. And then you run off. Like, that's it.
But it's not even like, you know, when they were really struggling with the cheese making, and then they get the donkey and they make their way through a challenge that they've really been struggling in, I get the relief of that, where you'd be like, yes, finally. This one, you weren't even struggling that hard, you know, like, and you passed the flight, you passed one team, you know, like now you've hopped over Raquel, but it's not like this big, huge accomplishment that's taken you hours. Like, chill a little bit, you know?
Well, Raquel, meanwhile, is still not figuring this out. So she's going to go again. And again, the woman is just like picking out her horrible grape leaves.
Yeah.
And this is when it's very clear Raquel just does not know what she's doing wrong. So she's just making the mistake again and again.
Again and again. And she keeps apologizing to Kayla. And Kayla is, of course, like, it's okay. I believe in you. You got this. Stay calm. But she's just not, you kind of just never really see her taking that extra look and putting together that it is the veins of the leaf. She's just like, oh, now I have to redo another 20. But she's not really connecting the dots of like, what am I doing wrong? And then I think added to that, she saw Dusty pass her, then the twins pass her, then Arun passes her. They are now in last place. They
are. Like, Raquel and Kayla. Raquel's the last one doing it. Kayla's the last one sitting there.
Yeah.
We go to a commercial break. Some producer during the commercial break told Raquel what she was doing wrong because they can't get too many gaps here. They have to keep them kind of together because she suspiciously, we come back from commercial. She's like, so it turns out this is what I was doing wrong. It was the veins. And I was like, we didn't see her come to, okay.
Yep. But she finally does finish. Yeah. And now everyone is off to this like food truck situation where they have to order this souvlaki and they have to spell it first. Now, I have to say, like, not that I'm like a genius, but I knew how to spell souvlaki and was a little surprised to see that people don't. Like, I guess it just is being familiar with Greek cuisine, but I was like, this doesn't feel that hard to spell. And people are like writing it down and asking for help. And I'm like, okay,
well, a few people struggled.
I know. I was kind of surprised.
I've never heard of it. So I would definitely, I've never heard of souvlaki. And so I would definitely have to like think about it. And honestly, I don't know how. I wish I had been given that test before I saw it.
Yeah.
Because I think I know that Greek is like OU.
Sure.
But I don't know if that would have come to me right away. But like our first team seemed to have no problem to the point that I thought they've seen this word. This is they're aware of it.
Yep. They definitely may have.
Some of the other teams were not aware of this word.
Yes, for sure. But Kim and Penn, no problem spelling souvlaki. They down like Penn is taking massive bites of the souvlaki to the point where the woman working the truck is like, that's really not how you should be eating this. Like, you're not enjoying this. And then they, miss the clue on the wrapper initially, but they much more quickly than some other teams realize like, oh, the wrapper, and so they open up the trash can, pull it out. They see the clue, St. George Church, on the wrapper.
Yeah, I did like to see like once they're confused, but they go through sort of the checklist of like, what could it be? Where am I looking? And they eventually get into that trash can and figure out that they have to do the wrapper. Okay. This food stand. Oh, before we get to the next group at the food stand, we do see the twins are lost a little bit. We see them driving.
They're having a hard time finding
a cutaway
the food stand. Yeah.
Of them lost. Okay. Then we see the dudes arrive to the food stand. Yep. They breathe it down. Holy moly.
Oh, no, truly. They were just like, and it was gone.
Yeah.
And then and they see the clue pretty quickly because I don't even think they had thrown it out. They just kind of crumpled it up in their hands and then undid it. And they saw. So they are now in second place behind the Holdernesses. But it feels like the Holdernesses still have a really significant lead because now we go to this church, right? And we see Penn there. He's going to do this roadblock. Interesting to see two roadblocks in one leg. We don't often see that, but fun to see them like alternate. So Penn is going to do this one. And he, again, it's this is the challenge I love, right? Because they are listening to this man drone on in the least interesting way possible about 15 different saints. And especially we see later on when you're standing next to other teams while this is happening, that ratchets up the stress and you just want to get out of it and beat these other teams. Penn has such a lead and he clicks on that ADHD superpower, right? Which is so fun to hear him talk about this like side of this condition that people don't really talk about, but he is able to just be laser focused. He's just like in class, memorizing every piece of what this man is telling him. And again, the man is boring. Like, it is not
He's
engaging.
literally a priest doing a sermon, which I guess some might be exciting, but they're not usually that exciting, right? The ones I've seen. And it's 15 minutes. I
15
can't
minutes.
imagine racing. You're racing. You're doing everything as fast as you can. You just shoved a souvlaki down your throat. You are go, go, go. And then you have to stop.
You have to
and listen.
Completely slow down for 15 minutes. Even Kim was like, this is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. He's been there for a minute. And at that point, it was like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Ken's got another 10 minutes to listen to before he can go take the quiz.
Yes, it was quite crazy. But yeah, so he's going to listen in. And he's going to go do his quiz, and he's he does like kind of switch things up at the end, but he gets it. He knows what he's doing. All good.
He very smartly was like, wait, are those options too down there? And makes like a last minute swap, gets that quiz right. Now, while this is all happening, like you said, the twins are lost. Arun and Natalia are also having a hard time finding this cantina stand. So the flight attendants now arrive at Mamo's, Souvlaki stand, and they do this challenge. They find the St. George clue, and they have now hopped into 3rd place. So they're like making their way back up from last place here.
Yes, they have moved up, but this was interesting because they're eating and they're just like, what's next? When Arun and Natalia show up, but Arun and Natalia do not know how to spell this word. They're not even hearing it correctly.
Right.
So they're trying incorrectly. They leave to get help on how to spell this when the flight attendants are like, this rapper says something.
Yeah.
But they don't fully
get it. They're like, is that the clue? Like, again, it's another instance, and we've seen this before with them, where they overthink a little bit, and they're like, is it this easy? Because didn't they have another challenge where they're like, it couldn't possibly be this simple?
It wasn't this group of, it wasn't them, but this like made me flash back to that male challenge where they just sat down.
That's right.
With the glue down underground.
Yeah.
Going, couldn't be this. I thought for a second, I was like, oh my God, Arun and Natalia are going to come back, and all 4 of them are going to stand there and be like, I don't know what we do next. Luckily, that did not happen. The girls are like, let's just give it a try. Let's go. So they are going to go off. So we then flip over to...
The twins are going to the pit stop now, Sarah.
Oh, God.
They're trying to find the food stand still. And, this is where we're like wrapping up Penn and his quiz and getting that right. And the twins are on their search for the, cantina stand, and they show up to the pit stop with Phil. And they just
happen?
Yeah. And they're sort of like, this doesn't feel right, but they do take a moment just to check in with Phil, like, this is wrong, right? Like, we're not supposed to be here. And he's like, yeah, you're early. You got a few more things to do.
Where are you in the race? And they're like, the food stand. And he's like, yeah.
He's like, I don't have any food for you.
That's not the pit stop. And it's just so crushing when this happens, because you're like, oh, we are way off. And I just honestly was like, how did they get here? This is like so off, and just breaking my heart at this point. Well, no, my heart's going to break even more coming up.
Further. Yeah. But now we're back at the church, and
let's get to this roadblock again.
Yes. The dudes are showing up at the church now.
Yeah.
And Ryan, is doing this roadblock, but this is great, says Dusty. Ryan is a history nut. He knows everything. He loves his stuff. Like, he's the dude for this. He is my number one guy. He's going to memorize these saints. Ryan's got this. Easy peasy. I'm not worried. Ryan's the best. He's my main, like, the producers are like, why don't you just keep talking about how Ryan is so perfect for this challenge? And Dusty keeps laying it on. And you see Ryan, it seems like his version of ADHD is the opposite of Penn.
He's got the other version.
He is looking around. Yeah,
I wasn't even sure he was looking at the pictures. I was like, do you know that you need to like look at what the saint looks like? But his attention lasts 2 minutes roughly.
Oh.
And he's like, got it. And he just leaves.
Because it says you're going to be quizzed on 5 saints or whatever. So he hears 5 saints, takes off. The priest, I think, is like, oh, where? Well, okay.
Okay, let's talk about the priest for a second, because I love him. He tells Penn, don't talk to the priest.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. Of course, Penn was talking a lot. It was like, you're in a task. Like, I get it. Yeah. But then I feel like the priest was like, this dude just walked away from me when I was talking. So when he comes back, he's like, why are you in a hurry?
Yeah. He's like, what's your rush? Because when he comes back for the second time, he's failed the quiz. And I think he kind of realizes like, this is a lot harder than maybe it should be. Like, I didn't get all this information, right?
He's like, I didn't hear that info.
Back, then Kayla joins him.
Yes.
And it's kind of like mid-presentation. I thought as this was happening that like perhaps only one person can listen to the presentation at a time. And I thought,
oh my God,
like Ryan would have to finish the 15 minutes before Kayla could start, but Kayla just scoots right in there mid-presentation. Ryan listens to another 5, tries to bail again after the 5.
At the same spot. He bails at the same spot as if like you said you hadn't. Okay.
Right. And so then the priest is like, and the next one. And Kayla's like, wait, the next one. And Ryan's like, the next one. And the priest's like, yeah, what is your rush, sir? I'm not finished reading.
I know the show is called Amazing Race, but I have a very long sermon for you. So settle in. Yeah. There's more. And so he like literally sits down on the ground as if he's like dejected and can't sit here any longer, but he's going to. And so Kayla's like, okay, listening. I guess
we keep listening. Now we finally see Arun and Natalia spell Souvlaki. They eat the thing. They also miss the clue, but they find it like everybody's doing the same thing where they just throw that thing out. Arun and Natalia pick it out, and they now have their clue to go to the church. And then the twins show up.
The twins are going to finally get there to this food stand.
Who knows how much later the twins are showing up, but they are showing up finally.
They are showing up, and unfortunately, they're not going to know how to spell it right away. This is going to take some time for them.
They find this unsuspecting woman on the beach walking her dog, and they're like, do you know how to spell Souvlaki? And she's like, what? And they're like, can you just look it up on your phone for like they're talking to this woman into helping them.
She's like, fine, sure. Yeah. They have to go through all of that, but we are going to see the pit stop because this one team is just way ahead of everybody else.
Yep.
And Kim and Penn are going to come in first for the third time in a row.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they finished. I looked at the clock when they finished. It might have been 30 minutes into the hour that they were already at the pit stop. They're done. They're that far ahead of everybody else. They get $15,000. And I was like, ooh, there's about to be some drama with the remaining teams here if we're like already showing Kim and Penn being done at 30 minutes in. Clearly they had a healthy lead. And there's a lot more to go with the rest of these teams. But part of that is the twins. They finally get the help, spelling Souvlaki. Get the Souvlaki. I don't know which one of them it is, but she's like, I've never had an onion in my life. And she's acting like she's back eating maggot cheese again. Like she can't even get down like one of a signature Greek dish.
No. I mean, she told us that she has a lot of food issues and stomach issues.
Yeah.
And I guess like basic things like onions are a part of that.
It's a part of it.
But she's doing it. She's trying. And her lovely twin, whichever is doing what, is trying to do more. Mm-hmm. And they're going to get through this at this point. But they are now looking for the clue.
They can't. They're not going to get the clue. And they end up doing what I sort of wished had been an element of this food truck from the start. As soon as it happened and people just had to eat one, I was like, this is like if the Amazing Race is gonna be this thing where like you're so limited in what the challenges are, you have to make everything harder. I was like, make them eat 3 Souvlakis. Like that should be part of this challenge. You have to eat a lot of food in order to find this clue. But then the poor twins, they don't find the clue and they just like go through it again and they're like, so wait, do you have a clue for us? Like, what's the signature dish? They spell Souvlaki again. They get another one. The woman working the truck is like, I have been told that I have these are the only words I can say to you. So all I can say to you is the special of the day is souvlaki. But first, you must spell it. They spell it. She says pork or chicken. They're like, who cares? And she makes him another souvlaki. And when she pulls the thing, the camera zooms in on St. George Church on the wrap as she's like putting together this thing.
I know. When they started to go through it again, I was like, no, I can't. No, don't do this. And then they're eating it and they're crying because they're shoving it down their mouths again and they don't know what they're doing wrong. Now, I think she wrapped it where the clue was on the outside this time. I think
just trying to help.
When she handed it to them, I could read it. And I'm not sure I couldn't read it. Yeah. She was like, here. And these poor girls are just going through this again. And I was like, oh God.
It seems like they're vomiting.
This is so hard.
Can't handle it. And then to see them crumple up the paper and wipe the table with the sauce that has dropped from it, I'm like, no, please don't eat a third one. Please.
No, please don't. This was so hard to watch. They are going to eventually go through the trash and figure this out, probably from the help of a producer. But meanwhile, Natalia has arrived at the roadblock. She is joining a speech in progress. The same sermon.
Same sermon. Ryan's like sitting down, legs crossed. Like you can tell he's just like, how much longer do I have to sit here? Natalia's here now. Like, I got to get out of here. And I think I'm not sure he really ever made it through the full sermon, but he was like, I got it. Like, I just have to go. Like, I need to try this again. And he does end up getting the quiz right. So he heard enough. And, you know, as again, it's funny. I'm like, this man, you know, we gave him a hard time earlier this season for how often he brings up being locked up. But I'm like, it really is the producers who are just like, can you talk about that thing again? Because somehow he's able to make a connection between being locked up and like this quiz.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. He's like, yes, while I was locked up, I made myself take quizzes. It's like, oh, okay.
No.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay, great. But yes, he's going to get this. So Kayla and Natalia wisely stay to listen to the top part of the speech, I think, while Ryan is going to do this quiz. But they are going to, in order, Kayla's going to do it one time, get it right. Then Natalia's going to do it. She does get it wrong.
She does it.
On the first
gets it wrong. Yeah. I mean, presumably it's on her second attempt that we see that Natalia gets it right. You know, I don't know how many tries she actually took, but she does. We see her getting the quiz right as the twins are like finding the St. George Church clue. So there's not even any overlap to speak of here, right? The twins arrive at the quiz, and this is when the producer was in the edit bay and they're like, okay, cut it like this. Let's make it seem like, ooh, are the twins going to be able to do it? And she bails on the sermon early, but she gets the quiz right. And I'm like, this can't be how this went down. Like, no.
I love that. I did write this down. Lulu, she does the sermon.
Okay.
And I felt like she really did just like stop. And she was like, I think we're last. So just listen to this sermon. Like I felt that vibe. Yeah. And then she gets the quiz correct the first time, it seems like. Who knows?
Well, yeah.
And she says,
and they made it
you have beautiful eyes.
Yeah. She's not rushing out of there because what's the point of rushing out of there, right?
Yeah. Feels like they know they're very far behind.
But I love this one where she's like mid-sermon with the guy and she goes, thank you. And she walks away to go do the quiz. And then she gets the quiz right. Like, I'm sure that's not how the sequence of events went down. I'm sure she got it wrong on her first attempt.
It might have been.
They did a good job streamlining that quiz process for the twins. Like, we don't need to belabor any challenges that they face there because we've got some editing to do where we're showing Arun and Natalia are now lost, pulling over, asking the locals, you know, wearing upside down masks. They're so frazzled, they can't even put their mask on, right, to ask for directions, right? Like, and then they show
Arun and Natalia, they were in an area that had no water. So even though I know this is editing,
Yeah.
they legit were in the wrong place.
They were
And
lost.
that, with their track record, I buy it,
You
because
never
when
know.
they go, which they stop and they're like, I don't know, is it over here? The outside, I was like, oh my God, they're not near a pier at all. It is landlocked where they are.
They might be in Croatia, they
Yes.
might have left Greece altogether with their
They
sense of
have
direction.
traveled a bit before they realized they have to go back. And I was waiting for a soundbite, but I didn't hear it, where they're like, oh, right where we were. Because it
Sure.
was all in the same little area, and
Oh, pretty
they
close.
went and drove off.
They
Well,
and
while we're getting this
oh, yeah.
crazy edit,
That's right.
back at the pit stop, we are going to see that Raquel and Kayla are going to arrive second on the mat. They, during travel, have passed the dudes,
That's right.
who we do see stop and ask for directions. Then we see Ryan and Dusty show up. And when Phil says, you guys are third, they go.
Yeah, they're not pleased. Because, I mean, Ryan got the quiz right before Kayla.
Mm-hmm.
So, they were feeling like, okay, well, we're at least number 2 here. And they realized that they've got some competition in these flight attendants, and really quite an impressive little like boomerang thing that the twins, or not the twins, the flight attendants did here, starting out second, going out of that first roadblock in last place and making up a ton of time at the 2, subsequent challenges. So very impressive for them to be able to recover like that within one leg. And the dudes are a little bit bummed, but they're fine. Like, I really do feel like that is going to be our top 3. And is the most competitive top 3. But that is how we finish this. And then, again, with the Arun and Natalia being lost, is being cut in with the twins saying, well, we already know where the pit stop is. So we're good. Let's just go there.
Go right there. Yes, but it is hours later, I'm pretty sure. So when we do get the shot of the pit stop, we are going to see Arun and Natalia show up, and Phil's going to be like, you guys, you're fourth. And they're, of course, ecstatic.
Still in it, and they're thrilled. I mean, they're the ultimate underdog team this season, right? Like, they've been saved so many times on non-eliminations and second chances and whatnot, and then they just get second to last several times as well. But like, good for them to battle their way up into the top 4 of this season. Like, amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, they are still making mistakes when it comes to self-driving, and they know that navigation is their downfall. But like the leg that they had no driving, whenever that was, and they just did so well. And then this one, they made less mistakes than other teams.
That's
so
right.
Here they are.
Yeah.
Like you said, I don't know that they're going to make the top 3. But look at them. Yeah, the underdog still in it at 4th place. And then our sweet twins.
The sweet twins. We love Lulu and Lala so much. They were so fun to watch this season, and like went out gracefully, like they just were really competing and cared, and but made mistakes, but didn't really let that get them down, kept pushing, always kept trying, and really were such a pleasure to watch. And they were just so grateful for this experience, and tearing up with Phil, and he's like, I mean, thank you guys for coming back. And it's just sort of this like love fest on the mat, which we love to see.
We do. They had a sense. They knew that they were in trouble. So you kind of see it on their faces, and they want to jump in the water. So they do. I hope it was beautiful and warm and wonderful. And you know what? They were fun to watch on the show, obviously, but they've been fun on social media. They've been in our chat. They've left comments. They seem to just be enjoying the whole experience overall, and we'd love to see that.
Yeah, they really have been such a pleasure to have as part of the Amazing Race family.
Ray, thank you for the super sticker.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you so much. Thank you. On that note, though, I'm as bummed as I am to lose Lulu and Lala. I am so excited to talk to them tomorrow.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
a lot of fun.
I
I'm
know.
very much looking forward to that. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Get them to me. You can tweet them to me as well if you prefer,
Yep.
because that'll be a lot of fun.
Yes, and they show us next time. It's the final four, right? And I'm specifically looking at that stone challenge where they're having to like look under rocks. Like that feels like a classic Amazing Race. This thing is going to take you forever challenge. So I hope that's the case because like I've said before, that's kind of what I've been feeling is missing from this season a little bit. So they finally found something that they can really potentially stretch out. Like maybe you get lucky and you look under the right stone, but if you're not, you could be looking for an hour. So,
yeah, it seems like the needle in the haystack type thing, which will mix up teams, right? That could put a strong team at the end.
That's
it could put a team that struggles up in the front. That will be interesting to see if it mixes things up for us. But like they said, for some reason, multiple times in this episode, next week is leg 9. Yeah. And we only have 11 legs this year, right? The season. So next week is 9.
Yeah.
Am I off?
No, but I'm just thinking. Oh, and then it's a 2-hour finale.
Oh, so maybe they have 10 and 11 together on this. Yeah. So
because
we only
the finale
have
is on the 2nd. So
2 more weeks.
Yes.
Until we get to the end here. So I don't know. Next week might actually be another non-elimination and Aruna and Natalia are saved again.
Whoa. You heard it here first, you guys.
I don't know. It's possible.
I think it makes sense. Why would they do a non-elimination leg at the final 3? Like, you can't have a fake final 3 leg, you know?
Yeah, final 3 and then a final 3. Like,
yeah, they're not going to do that.
Could, but kind of loses a little
excitement. But like, if you're at the final 3, whoever shows up first in the final 3 is like, we just won $1 million, and Phil has to be like, actually, it's just a non-elimination leg.
He's like, this is the leg before the finale, though, and they're like, what? Have to do it again? No, they would know. They would know it's not the finale. But that will be interesting to see. I'm not sure how that's going to work. But another wonderful episode. We're almost here to the end. And I agree with you. It seems like our final 3 will probably be, unless this rock thing mixes it up.
Yeah.
Kevin Penn, the Holderness, the dudes, Ryan and Dusty. And the flight attendants.
But I think you're right now that you said it, Sarah. I think you're onto something. I think next week is going to be a non-elimination. So unfortunately, this rock thing is maybe just going to switch up the departure order for the next leg.
Oh, and question to the chat. Did you guys, did the Holdernesses say that there was a U-turn last episode? I heard mention that there was a U-turn in the
out.
Right. So did they leave it out of the edit, or did no one use the U-turn and so they left it out? Because last week would have been a semi-decent week to try to get the dudes out. They weren't first.
True. But it's also very risky on a leg like that where everyone was so close together still. Like it's not like the dudes were an hour behind, you know?
Okay. I don't know if that is accurate or not, but that will be annoying if the rocks mix up the order and then it's just a non-elimination. Like, come on.
Yeah.
No. You guys in the chat, the best. Love you. Thank you for hanging out with us and chatting with us.
Yes. Thank you. And for those of you joining us later, remember to leave us a comment. The comments have been good this season, Sarah. I feel like we are very active in the post-live comment section, which I'm very much enjoying, getting a lot of feedback from you guys. So let us know what you think about the twins going home. Like Sarah said, if you guys have questions for the twins, you can drop those in the comments section and let us know what you're hoping for these last 2 weeks / 3 legs of this season.
Yay! All right, sounds good. So we will be back next Wednesday. No, wait.
No,
we don't know. You guys, stay tuned. Get the bell notifications because next Wednesday is the Big Brother finale.
Yeah.
I don't know how we're going to handle this, scheduling something or other, but we'll be back with some sort of amazing race recap at some point.
Very quickly
So
after the
that
episode. Yes.
will happen. Okay.
Yes.
We'll figure that out and get back to you. Okay.
All
Good
right.
night.
Good night.
Bye.